Hey everybody, I'm John. I'm the engine builder for TST Industries. And I'm gonna show you the R3 Superbike build that we've been working on. Bart presented us with this awesome project. We're super excited about it, and he gave us the go-ahead. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna walk you through the beginning stages of this motorcycle. We're gonna show you what has been done, what we're in the process of doing. It's probably in the end, everybody's gonna want one, including us. Another one. And more, and that's our plan. So come on inside and I'm gonna start and show you everything that we're doing. Okay guys, we're in the engine room. I like to call this my man cave. So I like to hide in places like this. Now, here's the R3 Superbike. All you guys are gonna see is a bunch of parts and some valves and springs and scattered stuff, but I'm gonna work my way through here and give you viewers a better idea of what we do. So what you're looking at here are Yamaha R3 engine cases. Probably a lot cleaner than you may see if you take it apart yourself, but this is how we start a project. These cases are a little dusty, they need to be blown off, but what we do is we take the engine apart. You can see the transmission laying here, which normally goes here, and we have this diamond in the rough magic crankshaft over here, which we'll talk about that later. That's not important right now. But this is how clean a motor should be when you start a Superbike project like this, or any project that you're going to start at home. This is the beginning. Some of you might say, how did you get that clean? Well, it wasn't just a case of brake cleaner at the auto parts store. It actually has a lot to do with soap and water and disassembly and reassembly and making it look like this. And this is the only way that TST Industries is going to allow anything to go anywhere. Now, let's work our way down. So you've seen the engine cases, which is probably confusing, but I'm gonna work my way down and see if I can put some of this together. So here's what we got now. We sent our transmission out and we had the gears back cut, so to speak. And what that means is we had the gearing cut so when the gears slide into each other, they slide in at a smoother rate. Okay, and you can see here there's some machining done so when the dogs and the slots connect, they connect smoother at speed, and it makes a big difference. Now, under normal circumstances, guys, your stock transmission is not done like this. You have to send this stuff out. This is one of the cool things that can be done when you're getting to the racing scene. Along with that, you're gonna see a discoloration in the gearing. We put that in some magic sauce and it takes all the shielding off, and this is the way you get it back, and that's as much as we can tell you. I can tease you a little bit and tell you we go with ceramic bearings. Why do we go with ceramic bearings? Anybody? Okay, time's up. Why would we go with ceramic bearings? Well, pretty simple. We want no resistance. We want no resistance in this little engine. We're going for some big numbers on this motor. We're really working at it. We're hoping in the mid 50 horsepower range. So we have to consider everything and anything we can think of for friction loss. And that is why we do these ceramic bearings. And we want this transmission to be as smooth as possible. And that is why we get it back cut. Now, let's walk our way over here. First off, we've got this flywheel. Most of you could look up a standard R3 flywheel and you'd notice there's usually a whole bunch of magnets inside this flywheel right here. Here and here, all the way around. That's normally for our charging system. This flywheel would encompass a stator in the middle. And that is actually what keeps our bikes running when they're working properly, if they're working properly. And that creates a magnetic field and it puts out what's called AC voltage. But I'm not gonna get into that right now, that's as far as I'm gonna go. Now if you look at this flywheel, this is not a normal flywheel. If you look closely, you'll see there's no more magnets. There's a bunch of machine work in here. There's some balancing work done in here. And what this thing is, this is making me super excited. Every time I look at it, I get really excited. Sometimes I have to go be alone. I have to look at it and go, what does this mean? This means RPMs are gonna take off so much quicker on this motorcycle out of a corner. And that's our goal. We want this thing to wind up so fast, because it's such a little bike, we took the charging system out of the motorcycle. Now this flywheel, this is a prototype. It's an experimentation. We're pretty positive we got it, and we're pretty positive it's going to work. The next step is put it together and let's see how well it does work. Now let's go this way. I call this the diamond. This is an R3 crankshaft, but it's not a normal R3 crankshaft. Most of you viewers are going to go, oh, why has he got it sitting in 2 pieces of cedar wood that are cut? Well, that's an easy one. Why would I use wood instead of metal to sit it on, or even roller bearings? Wood is softer than metal. I don't want any damage on this thing, so I use wood to set all my stuff in. That's a little tech tip for you guys at home. There's no damage here. I can spin this crank, I can do things to it, and I'm not going to hurt anything on this crankshaft. And cedar wood's nice. It's got a little oil in it. It's almost like a self-lubricating wood. Now, I'm sure even though you didn't hear a word I said because you're looking at this nice shiny crankshaft, you're asking, what is going on here? Well, this is a lightened, balanced, and knife edge slightly crankshaft. And this is what the finished product is. This was an experiment also. This is what we call a prototype again. From what we've been told, we were the first guys to try this. I haven't heard of anybody else in the US that's doing it. It's been talked about, hasn't been confirmed. So again, this is our experiment. Why did we balance this crankshaft? Well, first reason, we want RPMs. We want is the least amount of rolling resistance and mass that we can have. Okay, so when we take the mass and we cut the weight down, it spins faster. And that's what we want. Bart's a little bigger than me, a little taller than me, so we got to get this motorcycle going to haul him around the racetrack. So when you take some mass off this crank and you add in a lightened flywheel on the end of it with no magnetism drawing this thing down, what do we got? Okay, time's up. We've got a bike that spools up way faster out of a corner, is only 300 cc's, and maybe, just maybe, can play in the stock SV650 class. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but I'm just going to say it anyway, because that's where we're headed. And Bart, of all people, that's where he's going. I know he is. So that gives you an idea. Now, if you take a look at this crank, you're going to notice on the middle journal, and I'm just going to reach over here and I'm going to use a little valve tool here and I'm going to show you. Look at this shine on the middle journal. I'll spin it around. Now look at the other journals. This is a rod journal. This would be the center crank journal. This would be an outer crank journal. See the difference in the shine on the journal? So what that's called is polishing a crankshaft. Now, why am I going to polish that? This is already polished, and it's not because I wanted them to match. I'm going to polish that because, again, when you're going for what we're headed for, we're looking for the least amount of friction possible. Between the high quality oil we're going to run, which everybody should be running a high quality oil, by the way, okay, and all the other goals we have, we want the smoothest possible surface inside these crank journals we can get so the oil can flow between the bearing and the crankshaft. Now, the oil is the barrier. That's the protector, okay? So when the protector's working and flowing as smooth as it can, we don't have any kind of resistance in there. That's why we do that. It's just that added little trick. It takes time, okay? And sometimes it takes late nights for some of you guys. But at the end result, it's actually worth it. It makes a big difference, especially in longevity when you're racing. Every little thing matters. So as you can see, I haven't done the other ones yet, but you'll see that's what the crank's gonna be a finished product and look like. That's our goal. Now, we'll walk this way. We don't want to tease you too much, but I'm going to work your way over here to a set of rods on an R3. We're going all out. From what I understand, this is one of the first set of rods made for this thing. There's a couple other guys that are having them built too, but we were on the top of the list. So let's just look at the difference. You're talking about the diesel truck of rods. That's what our goal is. Now, most people go, well, you only got a 300cc motorcycle. Well, yeah, I do. But I got a lightened crankshaft, right? I've got a flywheel with almost nothing going on for weight. And this thing is gonna spool up like crazy. So my fear is I wanna control what's going on with the rod and the expansion of metal at RPM with the heat involved. I'm not sure how much you guys are familiar with this, but when the rod and the piston are going up and down in that motor, you got a serious expansion of metal. I don't need things stretching too far. If I get 20, 30,000 stretch out of a piece of metal when it all concluded with the crankshaft, that makes me a little nervous. So we're gonna go to this monster. Now, if our leader Bart decides to come out of a corner and possibly is half asleep that day and misses a shift, this doesn't bother me because this rod's not going anywhere. It may pull the rod through the barrier of oil in between, but in the process of doing that, I got a Acrylo rod in there. It's not moving. We're solid as a rock with this thing. And we might not be at the 11,300 mark when we're done. We might be a little bit higher. We'll talk about that later. So there's your Acrylo rod. That's what's going inside. Now, we'll work our way over here. We got some shininess going on. Another diamond. And we got a stock one over here. This one's kind of done. This is what happens when you rev the heck out of your R3 for a whole season. This is what happens to a piston skirt with RPMs. It's okay to have this. It's not broken, it's tired. Okay, not a big deal, but this is a stock R3 piston. It's got some carbon below the rings. I'm not real happy with this. Stock. This is what we're doing. We want compression. So we're gonna build some compression in this motor. This is gonna help us sustain all that compression and pressure on the bottom end. If you want a real motor, guys, and you wanna build a Superbike, you've gotta build a strong bottom end. Houses don't stand well with no basement. You've gotta have a solid foundation before you even go up in the valve train. So this is our goal. We got a nice foundation here. We've got a nice foundation right here. We got to work on some oil clearances. This piston is something that was sent to us, and our goal is to make compression. You can see the difference in the dome. Now, a stock piston, it's made to run on regular gas. We don't want to run on regular gas. We want horsepower. Okay, whenever you make compression, you're going to need some fuel. You got to change that fuel to a higher octane fuel so it can burn better and not detonate or have any issues. So, in the force of making compression, we're going to go to good fuel. We're probably going to dabble in the race fuel department quite a bit with this. Okay? Now, I'm going to tease you with one more thing. This is the head out of a stock R3. I didn't even really clean it yet. This is what it looks like when you take it out. I can show you. Get a good look at it, because it's not going to look like that in the next feature. This is the beginning. Here's your bike apart. It's going to look a lot different when we're done. It's a Superbike. We can get away with this, okay? I'm not going to tell you what we did, but I promise you this. When this is all done and you get to see the changes, this is going to match this, and this is going to look like this. So this is the bulk of the R3 Superbike build. Now, I'm excited. I may not look like the most exciting guy, but I'm getting old. But I am excited again. Bart got me into this. He dug me up from my retired road racing career already, and this makes me excited. So here's what I want you to do. I want you guys to hang in with us and watch the fun, because this is just the beginning.